Behind the Counter is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature. For a free audiobook of your choosing, go to audiblepodcast.com/Andrew. And by Stitcher Radio. Listen on the go via the Stitcher mobile app. For more information, go to stitcher.com/GFQ. Hello and welcome everybody to another wonderful episode of Behind the Counter. I'm your host, Rich Stambolian, and with me, as always, is the man of the hour, Jonathan Adler.
I'm a man a minute.
Just 1 minute?
Just 1 minute, if you're lucky.
Welcome everybody to a new episode today. We are the premier internet broadcasted show that deals with the issues of pop culture and comic books.
Ooh, I like that.
Television. We're dealing with the issues.
We're dealing with the hard issues.
Get it? The issues?
The issues.
Comic books? Get it?
Shaking my head up. I'm shaking my head up and down.
Do you agree?
I do agree.
It takes a while for some people to like. It's always like the
issues thing.
Yeah, the issues thing. Like,
Didn't we used to use it? Did we have more issues than Detective Comics for a long time? That was like a.
I don't know about that.
I personally use that.
Where?
Yeah. That's my therapist. My therapist never got the joke though.
I'm sure he's not sitting around reading Detective
It's a
Comics.
she.
Sorry, bro.
Okay.
That's very progressive of you.
Thank you. I only have female therapists.
So we're here today. We just got some breaking news that Carmine Infantino passed away.
Yes.
So rest in peace, Carmine Infantino. He died at 87 years old.
We're going to get a half an hour moment of silence.
Oh, what?
Oh, half an hour moment of silence.
Yeah. Just like staring to the camera for 25 minutes. And also Roger Ebert died today, which is, we were just talking about that. Yeah. But you know,
this guy is eating every single time we ever show.
What kind of sandwich you got this week?
He has no idea. He has no taste buds.
The turkey and tomato?
Yeah.
Is that from Press?
No.
It's from wife.
I don't know. I think she got it somewhere.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Don't say that to her if she made it.
Delicious.
It's got wax paper.
Delicious.
And it came with potato chips.
So we have a big show today. We're going to talk about some cool stuff, some comics, and a very special chat about
very special
a certain thing that kind of gets overlooked by comic books. Comics eat themselves now by fans. You can't make a comic book too much of a comic book, otherwise it gets crapped on.
Is that what we're talking about today?
No. It's just something that kind of like the whole Remender thing kind of stuff. I know we mentioned it last week, but it kind of like.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When he's getting chewed out by fans about like him making the mutant word kind of like a racial slur, and he's getting like a lot of flack from people who are
People
like,
need to grow up.
You know, like you basically made this like the N-word, and your representative is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed
what's wrong
guy. You know,
we got Muty for years.
Yeah,
and no one bitched and cried about that. Bring back Muty.
I think it's a weird era.
Or Gene Joke.
It's a flat scan.
Yeah.
Which are all awesome. Like when you read it on like the page, it's incredible.
Dude, it's a fictional universe. Do not get offended by the things that a guy who shoots plasma beams out of his body,
where everything could happen at any moment.
So ridiculous.
You know? If you're reading a comment and if you're reading a comic book and you're like, why did Ego, the Living Planet, show up on the last page? You shouldn't be reading comic books.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think it was going to end like that. Who do you think is going to be? Did you read All New X-Men this week?
I did.
It's a good example. Who do you think is going to be the big reveal?
Jean Grey.
That she's leaving?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Beast.
I guess it's going to be one of the original five that they're teasing, right? For a second I thought it was going to be our Beast leaving the team.
Yeah.
Just to give it some more of that uncanny flavor.
Right.
Because he's been such a pious, saintly dude, and that maybe he'd go over to readjust, Cyclops or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think what they've been showing with Jean about how rebellious she is, I think she's gonna be the one that's gonna go over there.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Or do you think it's just Wolverine looking into a mirror?
It's me, bub.
Not you. Yeah.
It's funny. I right before I came over here, I was watching Mallrats, and there's a scene with when Brody goes up to Jay, and he's like. Should I call you Logan or Weapon X? Snick, bub, Wolverine. And that was really a time before Wolverine was a mainstream dude. And now this dude is the most mainstream Marvel character they got.
Here's something that's going to blow your mind. That was almost 20 years ago.
I know. Oh, it shows when you look at with the actors. You look at what's his name, Merle.
Oh, Michael Rooker.
You see Michael Rooker with like no wrinkles on his face.
Oh my god! Sometimes I get blown away because like we're not even that old. You know, we're
old
like
enough.
We're like in our early teens.
20 years ago.
But like when you look at stuff like that and it's like 20 years ago.
There was something that hit me not too long ago where I just couldn't wrap my head around that it's been like 20 years since I saw something. I can't remember what it was, but it happens way too often nowadays when you get like a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year thing passing. It's just like, what happened?
I think next year is the 25th anniversary of Batman with Michael Keaton, maybe.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts when you think about it.
It is completely crazy.
It's weird because like we're getting not to say that we're getting old, but we're kind of reaching
You've been old.
I don't know about that. I think we're kind of reaching that age where it's like the stuff that we like and still think is cool, other people, like younger people, haven't heard of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I was like, hey man, like I really dig freaking Pantera, like some 15.
What's that?
Yeah, like you'll get like the Who. And same thing with comic books too.
Well, what's his name? Jon Stewart the other day on Daily Show. He dropped a Knights in White Satin joke,
really?
And like it was silent. He's like, "Wow,
nobody."
Yeah.
But I think this is the first generation. Like we're the first generation that has like the internet to fall back on. So like nothing really disappears.
Yeah,
like it's not
culturally
like
it does though.
Like you've never heard of Alice in Chains. Like I don't think that's gonna happen anymore.
That's the
yeah,
thing.
no, it's culturally. I agree with you on that.
It's a cultural thing, and also you also have a massive movement of kids that did not grow up in the 90s pining away for 90s stuff right now.
Well, the 90s are in. The 90s are in. Like the 80s were in. When we were
90s
kids.
are so in right now.
I kind of, I'm kind of envious of the kid who's like, what's image? Like I found a weird box marked Image 90s in the comic store.
Boys and garbage.
Oh man, I burned it in me. He's like, what's this Spawn guy? You know, who's this Youngblood? This guy kind of looks like the Thing, but he's like a kid.
But they're still around. You can still go to a comic store weekly and see that.
Do you think there's one comic book store owner who's just like a big fan of the 90s who's like, hey, if you like this stuff now, check out this stuff from the 90s. You want Bad Rock #1?
Yeah, we used to work
Mark's
for him.
Comics. No, Mark's Comics in Valley Stream. It's all 90s comics.
He's like a cool rock guy.
I'm going to auction off my collection of very rare glow-in-the-dark comics and gold foil. I got a Wildcats #1 gold signed by Jim Lee.
Yeah, you got that Wolverine 75.
I got that. All my silver stuff.
The hologram covers. When you take the covers from the 90s to the covers now, it's like 90s covers sucked. And like
so much negative space.
80s covers were awesome. 70s covers, 60s covers were incredible. And then like the 90s covers were just like
yeah, but when you would get like a really good cover in the 90s
that we thought was good at the time because we were like dopey kids.
I still think one of the greatest covers was Uncanny X-Men, the one with Gambit and Wolverine on it, where they're in the air.
Yeah,
like I think that's one of the greatest covers ever.
That would not fly. Nope. Now.
Nope.
Yeah.
But you know what? I do want to say this. Like I was having lunch yesterday, and I was at a bar. Just like drank a lot.
Was it the
Press? Yeah. I stopped by the Press, and Happiness Was a Warm Gun by the Beatles came on.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, She's So Heavy. And I'm like, you never hear that on radio. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, She's So Heavy by the Beatles. And the bartender was like, what's that? I'm like, you know the Beatles? Like, yeah. I'm like, this is the Beatles. Like, wow, this doesn't sound like the Beatles. And I had to explain to them, like, this was their dark period.
This is the Beatles.
And I'm thinking, I'm like,
let me tell you about the Beatles.
How do you not know this?
Is this Coldplay?
This is Chris Martin.
That's how whenever I go to Brooklyn and I have a little too much to drink, I just walk around asking people if this is Coldplay.
This Coldplay. This Coldplay. This Coldplay.
Trying to be really cool about it. Is this Coldplay? Is it the new Coldplay?
And it is.
And then I get really dirty looks from hipsters that tell me it's Bell and Sebastian.
Oh, screw you.
Lady Antebellum.
Screw you, neckbeard.
We're going off topic, but I'm going to bring it back in a minute.
Bring it back.
I love commercials. I like good commercials, right?
I don't watch them anymore.
There's a big resurgence in like taking that kind of like Old Spice, like the guy on the horse commercial, and there's a lot of like man beard commercials now.
Yes.
Like I can't look at this guy because of his beard so awesome, blah blah. Dr. Pepper put out a really good one. With just like a dude who's like a lumberjack drinking a beer. He's got like an awesome beard. I feel like that leads to terrible ironic beards. Your thoughts?
I have a beard. I enjoy my beard. I can't speak for anyone else's beard, but there's a lot of ridiculous beards going on out there. I saw a very extreme neck beard the other day. That was, a neck beard. Like a person cannot grow their beard beyond their friggin' neck. So
yeah.
So then he took it, he grew it all the way out, and he curved it out, and it was like bootleg Ahab.
But I mean that's a commitment.
That is a commitment.
It's also desperation.
I mean,
I agree with that too. I went out to dinner not too long ago with my fiance, and we went to I don't know if it was a trendy place at this point, but it's a nice place in the store, smokehouse in the store, and we're sitting there at the bar, just hanging out, and then this dude just walks up to the bar, and I was like, "Oh, that is a ridiculously awesome beard!" This guy had it was very well coiffed and just this giant kind of. He looked like his face should be on the front of a Viking ship, But then his posture totally ruined, the posture and the attitude and the hey, can I get the hipstery kind of thing ruined it for me?
No wrist muscles.
And the fiance was just that is such a retarded commitment. I bet this guy's a total a-hole.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. I used to be in a company that supported a beard competition, and you see a lot of great beards, and you see a lot of pathetic.
But you won.
I did win.
You won. This guy won. What was it? Beard.
Octobeard.
Octobeard. I was gonna say Beard Toe Fest.
I feel like it should have an octopus involved with it somehow.
Yeah. Well, the winner next time should have that crazy beard competition beard.
I can never go that far.
So that's my weird tangent. Did you like the last episode of Walking Dead?
No.
No.
Did you?
Yeah, it's all right. It was the best episode of the season.
I don't think so at all. The Morgan episode was the best episode of the season.
Okay. I watched it, by the way. I saw the finale.
Yeah. What do you think?
I can't stand that stupid blonde.
Well, she's dead.
So I know, but thank God. But she was just annoying so much.
Here's my thoughts about it.
Go.
It's a good episode if it wasn't the season finale.
Mm-hmm.
There was no true climax for it. I don't think Andrea being killed off is a climax of the story because I've been waiting for that all season. So I guess I am somewhat satisfied by that. The governor wiping out almost the entire town in one fell swoop was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Don't understand why you would move back to the prison
with everybody
when you have running water and a beautiful little town to live in. Now that's vacant. I could have done without 20 minutes of grabbing pliers with your feet.
That was weird. That was really
and you could have gotten a foot double for that.
What a crappy escape! But
I like that. I like the way it played out. I did like the fact that the tension. I did feel that and everything, but it was I think it was it was in par with the rest of the season. I think it was exactly what I expected.
All right, yeah, I'll agree with that. It's nonsensical. There's a lot of stuff going on the internet. There's I think the top 30 memes that Walking Dead season 3 and like stuff that just makes no sense. The governor using the scope with his iPad.
Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty amazing.
The fact that it's supposed to be 2010 and the car they're driving is a 2013 Tucson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2010, 2011 around there.
The longest time they may have gone is maybe a year.
Yeah.
From the
the fact that this bothered the crap out of me because I couldn't stop yelling at my TV was the fact that these guys showed up with what was the last episode? Yeah. These guys showed up with a grenade launcher.
Yep.
Right? Where was this honestly, if the first time they went there, if you were oh, what should we break out of the armory? My go-to would be grenade launcher because nobody would mess with you. Everybody's scared of a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
This guy shoots 2 towers and then
done.
And that's it. And then they go into the cellar and they see 2 people with guns. They're all jacked up with firearms and a grenade launcher. And this guy's a psychopath. This guy's blah blah blah. 2 guys standing behind a fence, shooting their rickety guns at the group, and they're oh, we gotta get out of here.
But they were wearing armor. They were wearing armor, so that all bets are off.
If freaking Ramirez didn't waste his grenades on the empty tower to show off,
I think it's Martinez.
If Martinez,
I think you're giving him too much credit for the doubt by going Ramirez.
If Martinez didn't waste his grenades showing off by blowing up these towers, he could have blown up that bridge that they were both and the store.
And they were Humvees, I think, when they were rolling in there.
Yeah.
The thing we won the Iraq War with.
Yeah, exactly. And the other guys have a hatchback and a really sweet Dodge Ram that came out of nowhere.
That show makes me feel dumber and dumber every time I watch it. I understand why the showrunners now leave the rotating cast they have now.
It's so popular.
It's so popular, but I think there was a general kind of malaise that kind of came out. I didn't hear anyone really going "Yes, this is an incredible," except for Bobby, incredible season finale.
But you know what? I think Bobby's watching it in a different respect than we're watching it. I think he's watching it because he likes
zombie so much.
The zombie stuff so much, and also like he has more of a tolerance for like that kind of sci-fi channel, like bad B-ness.
Yeah.
You know, he's reveling in the B-ness of it.
I don't know about that.
Let me ask you
think
guys
he is.
this. Do you think the general public that's watching it understands the concept that there is no cure? They're just fighting for survival. Like, there's no happy ending to this.
I don't think so. I think
You think they're watching like, but when are they going to get better?
Yeah, I think with all things, this is one of the few stories that I embrace the fact that it's ongoing and will be ongoing for the foreseeable future. I just don't think it works in the concept of
TV.
The TV show.
Yeah.
Because we like, as a TV watcher, I love, a beginning and an end. I look at
And
TV
there's no end.
as, long form storytelling. It's serialized, chapters to a story. This mess of a TV show, I don't know what the average viewer is actually holding on to.
See, like my take on the show is that I know it's going to be different than the comic. It's going to be this and that. The thing that it doesn't hammer home is that when you read those first, like that first trade of the first few issues, or like even the first two trades, you pick up on the fact that you're like, oh, The Walking Dead isn't about The Walking Dead aren't the zombies. It's about this group of people. You don't get that from the show. You're not like, wait a minute, they're The Walking Dead.
Well, it's also, I think they lost that real. I think a few things are missing from it. Number one, the grittiness of the comic, the real hopelessness of it.
Right.
Because everyone looks healthy, everyone looks clean.
They got showers now in the prison.
Absolutely. The car thing really bugs me. The clean cars, all that stuff, and everyone's mobile. Like they never had. Like gas is such a hot commodity.
Yeah.
In the comics that. These guys are taking a trip every 2 minutes on either a motorcycle or a beautiful car.
Well, the fact that, how about nuclear reactors? What's happened to that? What's happened to power plants?
That's fine. But that's like because you're only in a very small part of Atlanta at this point.
Right.
You've only traveled so far. But I think it really suffered by having the two narratives, by going over to Woodbury and having the Andrea plot and everything.
Right.
I love the idea of the very tight narrative that you had. Just what we were being seen by the survivors, and that was it. Having like this governor point of view and all that, and the fleshing out of him, which didn't really go anywhere.
No, it didn't,
because he just became a cartoon by the end of the season anyway.
It went nowhere. He became Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, which is fine because that's what he is in the comic book. He was an evil, malicious rapist, murdering, sadistic bastard, and to go this weird like route they took with him,
noble, ignoble kind of weird
which you never
guy.
believed from the get go anyway. If you read the comics, you're like, no, this guy's gonna be a scumbag.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the choice, and I think a big thing is that we're shooting for 16 and 17 episodes per season, way too many.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think if you put a little more art and like craft into it and kind of make it like, I'm not going to say make it more like the comic, but like stick to like the points that the comic hits a little bit. It'll make it better it would make it dynamic television. Whereas like,
absolutely,
I feel like this is just, like I said, I bring up the sci-fi thing a lot, like the Sci-Fi Channel analogy. You get that. And I'm going to throw this one your way, John. Andrea is basically the Jar Jar Binks of the Walking Dead universe on the TV show.
Yeah.
Because like when she was like, when she got bitten, at the end, and she gives that little stupid speech, and Rick is looking at her. I really wanted him to be like, this is all your fault. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Blow your brain. Here's my gun. Blow your brains out. This is all your fault. Everybody's dead. You could have killed this guy. You could have just never left.
No, what's also kind of drives me a little nuts too is that there's, we love The Walking Dead because of the character pieces and storylines and everything like that, but it also has these incredibly massive, wonderful climaxes and moments, like Rick getting his hand cut off and the rape and all that stuff. They removed all the great moments to seemingly keep us surprised.
Right.
Those are the things that you came to the story for.
Exactly.
And it doesn't, like, I understand what they're going to do. Next season, they're just going to extend the prison storyline for an extra one because, number one, it's cost effective to AMC to keep them on the same spot. Governor's still going to be running around.
But why go back to the prison?
What do you mean?
I didn't understand why they went back to the prison.
It's there. I know I agree with you on that. Like, I don't understand why they would come back to this.
Like their whole point is like they keep moving because they're having like problems to find resources or like zombies are getting, but like they were safe.
So yeah, strategically, wouldn't you try to go back to Woodbury before the governor gets back?
I would go to Woodbury in a heartbeat. They have a massive weapon cache. They have a massive amount of food storage. Right. They have running water, electricity. They got cable TV. They got everything going on.
Food.
There. Why would you go back to this?
Cable TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they watching?
Walking Dead. It's like very meta.
They're watching themselves.
Very meta.
I hate ragging on it, but now you kind of got it a little bit, you know? Like if you're, as a TV, not even like comparing it to the comic, but as a TV show, a lot of it makes zero sense. And I doubt that's what they were going for.
I think we're at a time where we really expect a great deal out of our TV.
Yeah.
A lot of work goes into them.
Especially at AMC.
AMC does incredible products. You have a great team of writers working on the show for the most part. You usually have top talent working on it. And it just feels like I think they're a bit complacent with their ratings and the money that they're bringing in. Yeah. That they're not like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And everything's kind of everything is on the road between acting, between story writing. That's why an episode like the Morgan one was so good because it was so contained, so tight. It didn't get into like the governor thing bored the hell out of me. It shouldn't. This is the thing that I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for the prison storyline because it really is like the benchmark of how we judge the Walking Dead storylines. And as a television series and as a story arc, not that good.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. And I think I have like a weird feeling that the show could be close to cancellation. Not like due to the popularity, but because they ended it on such a weird note where it's like it could just be an ending. You know, like season 3 could be an ending. Unless renewed. I know it's renewed, but like at the same time, like you never know. Like look at what Disney. I think Disney announced today that they can't like all the LucasArts games are done.
They weren't doing anything with it. They were doing iOS games at this point.
But there was two
Star Wars 1313, which we all were knowing at the bid for. I want a Boba Fett game also.
Yeah, you know, like everybody's.
I'm upset about it. Listen, I'm very upset about it. I grew up on Lucasfilm games. They're amazing.
I know, and you know, like anything could happen. AMC could pull the plug on it and be like, Don Draper needs more money.
Now those are all leaving. That's the problem. The best thing I wish I had the pull quote is what Kurt Sutter said about how cheap they are with everything. Draper's on his way out. Breaking Bad ends this year. Walking Dead still their cash cow. They're bringing back The Killing. Who cares for another season? They're gonna be in trouble. So they better siphon all their money into Walking Dead. Yeah. Give this thing a bigger budget. Let's
make it awesome.
Let's spend it on some actors, dude.
Give more FaceTime to Tyrese.
Yeah, he's the thing that I think could save the show.
Yeah.
I would be very happy if they killed off Rick at this point and just replace him with Tyrese.
I would like the Rick and Tyrese shot. You can't kill. I think you kill Rick, the show's dead.
He sucks on the show.
He's the best actor they got.
I don't know about that.
I
think what's his name is better than him.
Daryl?
Glenn.
Daryl?
No, Daryl's not a good actor. I don't know what you know what I like Daryl as much as the next guy, but the obsession with Daryl is I don't understand it. Like, oh, if we kill Daryl, that's we're gonna riot.
People want a new Han Solo.
He's not a Han Solo. He's a guy who has no personality. They're just like kind of just like whatever you say, boss.
Hey. Who's that baby over there?
No ass kicker. He's not a cool character. I've never liked him. I never was a fan of.
Agreed. We're getting too old. We want to watch this Mad Men and
a friend of ours was going to a road trip and he asked if I had any DVD seasons of like TV stuff to give him. And I kind of ran down the list. I was like, you should watch The Shield. He's like, oh, I don't want to watch The Shield. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Who is this?
I'll tell you later.
And, man, I really want to know who this is.
And then I said, do you ever watch Mad Men? Because I have all the seasons. So he's like, oh, I watched like the first few episodes and I wasn't into it. Too much story.
I love it. That's my favorite excuse. That's my favorite excuse for everything. Yeah,
like too much good stuff and plotting and narrative. I just want more like pictures moving around in a fast motion.
Well, that's the problem. That's why like Heroes, the first season was phenomenal. And people loved it. And then the biggest complaint was that there was too much thinking that had to go. Like the characters were too developed, and there was too much like I guess like
America.
Too many, like too much like to think about the characters. So they dumbed it down with.
Yeah, but that show always sucked.
No, the first season was good.
Sucked.
I like the first season was good. First season was good. Why don't you just give him a copy of like Clash of the Titans and the Wrath of the Titans? That's a great movie to watch on a plane.
It is.
So, like anywhere.
I know.
I was on the way back from Barcelona. I had like my Kindle with Wrath of the Titans in it, and I was like, "Yo, this is amazing! This is like such a great 2-hour time waster."
My fourth drink in.
Yeah, I was like, 2 hours? Hell yeah! I'm wasting 2 hours on this. This is amazing. You got nowhere to go. You're in a freaking plane.
Yep,
you know?
You're trapped.
And speaking of too much story. Or not enough story, or very interesting kind of. This is my segue into what we're going to talk about. Age of Ultron #4 came out this week.
Sure did.
Right.
Weekly comic book. Who thought?
it's a weird schedule because it's 3 times a month, and then there's 1 week off.
Yeah.
So
it's also going to slow down once Brian Hitch leaves the series.
Okay.
He's only doing, I think, the first 5 or 6.
So it's a 10-issue miniseries, basically where Ultron somehow takes over the Earth. Issue number 4, which came out this week, had a great reveal because last issue you thought it was Vision, kind of like as a bad guy, you know.
Yeah.
Luke Cage brings a fake knocked out She-Hulk to sell to Ultron. He finds out that it's Vision. He's like, "Oh, sweet Christmas! Like, what's up?" You know. And then
talk to me, Vision. Talk to me.
In this issue, Vision reveals that it's not him. It's Ultron from the future.
Who's in the future?
Who's in the future, controlling Vision in the present.
Yes. He's using the internet. And
he's using the super space internet to find all the not kill the heroes, but destroy everything. And the heroes in this issue, Luke Cage gets caught in a nuclear explosion.
How do you feel about Luke Cage's hairline in that?
Like a little afro?
No, the little
the widow's peak kind of thing. Yeah.
Not even. It's
yeah.
It's like the receding thing going on.
I like it. It kind of gives him a little
age.
But he gets caught in a nuclear explosion. Yep. Apparently, he's too gruesome to show, and he crawls to a Quinjet, flies the Quinjet to Kazar's house. He stays there. Wolverine smells him dying. Wolverine and the Avengers show up.
Black guy's dying.
And then, which was like kind of a touching panel where he's like, he's gone. He's not there anymore. And then, that's when the reveal happens, he's from the future, and then Moon Knight, Black Widow, and
Red Hulk
show up saying
I was really disappointed when he killed Taskmaster.
Yeah, he smashed him right in half. This is how we're gonna do it,
And he's got an Ultron strapped to his back too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at this point, 4 issues in, I'm like, this is great. I'm really digging the series.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff. You kind of want to know how Black Widow got her face messed up.
So gross.
What happened to Cap Shield?
Yeah, butthole eye.
Yeah. And this is also, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this also the Wolverine costume that we saw in the alternate Fantastic Four thing?
Absolutely.
He had the hood, and he was the Hulk's dad.
Yeah.
Who
adopted father.
He's
Old Man Logan.
Which is Old Man Logan, which is so weird to me because it's it's that string of continuity from Old Man Logan, raised the kid, somehow got younger looking, put on the hood, yet it's set in Marvel Now continuity.
Yeah.
Right?
A little bit. It just could be it could be an homage. Because it also was Brian Hitch that drew the FF run and this.
Right.
It could just be a little.
So this is pre Old Man Logan.
This is definitely pre. This is. I mean, I think there's maybe a few years that have passed since Marvel Now and the Age of Ultron, because everyone looks a little bit more gruff, but not anything tremendous. Spider-Man looks exactly like Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. But who could be Ock? Which is kind of weird too. Yeah. But who knows? Yeah. That's
Bruno's.
That's something that sits with me a little weird.
What, the Spider-Man thing?
The Spider-Man thing, because you're not sure if it's Ock or not.
Doesn't matter.
And plus, Slott also said this is going to be over soon.
Yeah.
So it kind of throws a little.
The Dr. Octopus thing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to last 12 issues. They're up to 6 already.
But it just it oddly doesn't really fit. But I'm sure they'll make it fit at some point. And I'm really digging the story. And when you think about it, and here comes the big segue. When you think about it, Vision and Ultron are
crazy stories.
2 of the craziest origin stories for 2 of the most enduring characters who have to do with Hank Pym, who also is a maniac, who also has not a crazy origin story, but just kind of a insane character arc.
Ultron was a butler robot
at that point, right? Ultron was a butler robot who turned bad. I'm sorry, no. Yeah, he was a butler robot who turned bad. I thought you said Vision for a second. And Vision was supposed to be the better.
Well, you can go into that part, or you could talk about him being the Human Torch, the original Human Torch robot body,
right?
Thrown in through time, then recovered by Ultron, who's still a butler robot, and then handed over to Hank Pym, infiltrates the Avengers for them, along with Kang also.
Right.
They're convoluted, dude.
It's insane. I mean, when you this is something that you read comic books and you love comic books, but at the very core essence, you want to read about the craziest characters you can get your hands on.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's what always will draw us back to mainstream comics is the fact that yes, what's the selling point on this guy? And I know it was one of your favorites, Exo Manowar.
Exo Manowar is, I think, by far the greatest origin story of all time.
Okay, what's Exo?
Exo Manowar is an ancient barbarian from about Roman times. He's from Gaul, who gets kidnapped by these this massive spider alien army from space, kidnap him and his brother, brought to space. They go into slavery for hundreds of years. They never age. On their ships, they find that they worship this sentient armor that Exo, this guy, he's Arik, I think, in this one. He runs off. He steals the armor, kills everyone on the ship. He wants to go back to Gaul, and he's now back in our modern society. Fights spider aliens, becomes a superhero, and then becomes an industrialist.
Right.
Eventually, with all of his old barbarian gold.
So it's like it's a backwards Iron Man essentially.
It's so weird.
Yeah. It's a really crazy story, and like if you're just joining us, we're talking about like really insane character origins in comic books that kind of draw you into. If somebody said like, "Hey, this is the story, you want to read this?" Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, and
but we were never pitched that when we were a kid. All we saw was a makeshift Iron Man.
Exactly. And I think that was the selling point when you're like a young kid. You're kind of like, oh, this guy kind of looks like Iron Man.
Yeah.
The suit's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, and then like I was shocked by it. You know, like, oh, he's a barbarian.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a great idea.
Where's this going?
Yeah. It's a great idea. Like look at Bloodshot and Ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are like crazy, stories as well. But who else stuck in my mind? Blue Devil.
What was Blue Devil's?
Blue Devil was a stuntman.
That's right.
Worked for Hollywood, who helped develop a suit that looked like a Blue Devil for a movie, and like somewhere in Honduras or something. It was like a Mayan temple or something. And he goes in the temple and he gets possessed by a demon, and the suit gets grafted to him, and he gets magical powers, and he's like now stuck in that suit and becomes like a Blue Devil.
Blue Devil, the superhero.
He's like a cyborg Blue Devil,
which is that's like another crazy thing. And like and Blue Devil's like a weird character, and like
awesome
DC
character.
I feel like DC characters for the most part have more insane origins than Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Whereas like you can do like kind of like a back and forth from like, I guess your average origin would be like something like the Hulk or like any mutant.
Well, look who you have creating the story. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and like Ditko all had that very straightforward, like, misunderstood guy gets powers through, unusual circumstances. Bam. Then you have DC, you have Hawkman, you have Superman, you have Batman's the only one that's closest to Marvel as you can get. I
agree with that completely. And like I would say something, like maybe like Wonder Woman,
Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Like Superman is, I'm glad you said Superman because that's like one of my favorite origin stories because it's completely bonkers. And people don't realize that. Like when you're like, oh, Superman, like he's awesome, he's invincible, truth, justice, the American way or whatever it's called now. But the core essence of it is is essentially so far away from Earth, Krypton, it's in like another dimension, right? So his Kryptonian dad was, and it doesn't even start when he's born. It starts before he was born, where his Kryptonian doctor dad said, "Hey,
Dr. Dad,
look, the planet's gonna end. Let's get off planet. We don't believe you. I'm making a spaceship for my baby, so he can get out of here.
Little baby spaceship.
And as the planet explodes, he puts his baby with the combined knowledge of the universe into this spaceship and sends it directly to Earth, saying the atmosphere can sustain your life. You will grow up and have these crazy superpowers. And he does. And the rocket goes to Earth from like this other planet, God knows where, and he gets found in a field by two people who can't have kids. They raise him as their own.
Miracle baby.
Instill completely
the best things,
the best morals into this kid. Grows up, finds out he has powers. And this
murders father.
Not even the tip of the iceberg, but the fact that this guy can, 1, fly, B, super strength, completely invulnerable, shoot laser beams out of his eyes,
frost breath, super fast.
Does he have heat breath?
No.
Telescopic vision, which is like something that people forget.
X-ray vision.
Pretty much. He
back in the day can transform into a lion.
He can't turn into anything. I think that's like the one thing Superman can't do.
Well, he makes his face move around so he can't get photographed.
Right, like he'll blur, but he can't be like, oh, you know what this needs? It needs an elephant, and he can't turn into an elephant.
The Carmine Infantino years would say differently. He was a lobster at one point, a lion, a black guy, a woman.
I want the Silver Age back so bad. But like
split the two people, red and blue Superman,
a composite Superman with Batman,
the janitor.
Like when you think about that on paper, it's completely insane. Like this guy could do all that stuff, yet. And you know what? He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. This guy's the best person on Earth. The best person on Earth is from a different planet. Yep.
And he's showing you, and he's American.
Exactly. And he was born here. He was like the most
illegal immigrant. Mm-hmm. Super powered.
An alien.
And he cleans up all your garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Saves your cats from the thing. The most insane character origin, I think, of all time. Superman. And like character arc too, man. Like
it's pretty insane.
It's super out there when you think about it. You know, like that's like this guy from another planet showing up and he's like, all right, what do you do? Everything. Shoot him. It bounces off. And then you have to throw your gun at him after that.
I think
I also think the one of the original points of his origin was that he was found by an orphanage.
Yes.
Like way back in the day. Yeah. You were saying, I'm sorry.
He's very passionate about Superman.
I love Superman. But it's like it's insane to me.
No, that's a crazy origin.
Yeah.
And DC does do a better job of really throwing a lot of wacky.
You're insane. Green Lantern also not Golden Age Green. The Golden Age Green Lantern is kind of insane.
Yeah, it is. It's completely insane.
Hey, he finds the
a magic lantern inside of an abandoned mine shaft, and his 1 weakness isn't yellow; it's wood.
Right. That also nuts. Silver Age Green Lantern Hal Jordan.
His is so convoluted and so crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when it's also like I was gonna say this about the Superman thing too. The Jeff John or redoing of the origins like before the 52 stuff started.
Yeah.
When like they had like the Brainiac stuff and like Kandor, like they threw it all into like one big mash.
Yeah.
But like they did for when they added like Atrocitus, like was in the ship
with Abin
Sur, and he's transporting him, and and Abin Sur was really a complicated dude, and his sister was with Sinestro, and Sinestro was doing all this stuff. It's such a convoluted, like weird story. Because even by stripped down, a purple alien, dropping down in the middle of the desert, and a test pilot rebel finds his ring and becomes superhero.
Yeah.
Guy Gardner, same origin, but he got brain damage, became an asshole.
Right. And
that's the weirdest thing about him is that he got brain damage and he became an asshole. He was a wonderful human being. He got brain damage.
Just like a knock on his head. Yeah. Like a sitcom.
He was the original choice for Abin Sur.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, he was going to pick Guy Gardner because he was a pristine human being, got into a car accident, and then he got locked up.
With that haircut.
Yeah. He was a lawyer.
That's right.
He was the public defender for what's his name, for Hal Jordan when he got locked up.
And you're a Guy Gardner fan number one, too.
I'm a huge Guy Gardner fan.
It's
who else are we? Oh, Booster Gold.
Booster Gold's a crazy origin. Who was a athlete from the future. Failed athlete from the future, janitor at a superhero museum.
Finds a time machine.
And the Legion. Takes a Legion ring, which gives you the power of flight.
That's it.
That's it. Finds a time machine.
So a little bonus you get with the Legion.
Yeah.
It's good. You can fly. No matter what, you can fly.
Yeah. Finds a time machine, gets back to travel to the golden age of superheroes, which is the modern day superheroes, to become a superhero and become like the biggest superhero, and also become like the biggest media sensation like we've ever seen.
And who eventually becomes the master of time himself.
Who also does nothing but save humanity at one point, and only Batman knows about it.
Look for him in the new as a crossover with Jonah Hex in All-Star Western coming next month.
Awesome. But there's a lot of crazy origin stories. You have
Hawkman.
Hawkman's pretty insane. Like DC, like I don't know which Hawkman to go with because they're
all of them.
He's the cop from the different planet.
The perfect Hawkman is again the John's era Hawkman of being the constantly reincarnated dude who is also influenced by the Thangarian technology.
Well, that was one of his lives where he was the cop on Thanagar.
No, in John's original thing, because that was the one sticky part of the origin because there was he was like Hawkworld made him into this spacefaring space cop. But the other part of it was there was another guy. There's Carter Hall and Qatar Hall, who was a guy who had a little bit of the reincarnation in him. And then they separated away and just made it two totally different dudes. And then DC took it all and
smashed it.
Smashed it all together.
See, like the smash up, I remember that.
And a Hawk God.
Yeah. The reincarnation stuff is ridiculous.
So convoluted.
Martian Manhunter, another one.
My favorite version of Martian Manhunter is New Frontier Martian Manhunter when he was a cop.
Yes.
And, he was like really misunderstood and who eventually became an order-eating, watchtower guy. I like fat-headed, like Jim DeMatteis.
Yeah. But I think DC knocks it out of the park with the crazy origins. One of my favorite ones, and it's not even like that. It's outlandish, but it's, forensic police officer Barry Allen is messing with chemicals, and then lightning strikes it, and
just like his uncle
doesn't die.
But exact same thing happened to his uncle. All three of the Flashes, the same thing happened.
Barry
to him.
Allen, Wally West was like, "Hey, Uncle Barry, what are you doing?"
Yeah, and what's his name had Mercury, Space Mercury, whatever.
Jay Garrick. Right?
Jay Garrick, yeah. Poor Jay Garrick.
Really insane stuff. I was trying to. I had one on the tip of my tongue from
Claw,
another company, like the Sonic guy.
Yeah, Nazi explorer
right.
who fought the Black Panther a great deal. Gets his hand chopped off. Eventually learns how to master sound and becomes a weird creature composed mostly of red sound.
Ridiculous. Fantastic Four, also crazy origin, but I like the. If anybody out there, if you haven't read Warren Ellis's Planetary, please get on that. The Planetary version
it's awesome.
of everything.
Yeah.
Where when they were space travelers, they were like evil scientists. They went out into space, got hit by atomic rays, and got deformed, and
terribly.
Just became like these really insidious mastermind bad people.
Well, my favorite part of that also, aside from like Ben Grimm being this like spacefaring like monster who never returns to Earth, and they're all Nazis to some degree. Like their 4 is the broken Nazi symbol. But I really liked the idea of their version of Reed Richards having an ever expanding brain, and that's why he's getting so smart, and it infects everybody else.
Right. It's so good. Which I really wish that it was ongoing. I wish it kept like going.
I like it. I like the beginning and end of it. It's such a tight book.
The end was like, I remember, I think like there was such a gap in those last few issues.
There was like 6 years between those years.
Yeah.
There was like he started releasing the last 3 within the course of like a year, and then he took another year to put out the last one.
Yeah. Those last 2 issues were they took forever, man.
Yeah.
I got a good one for you. If you remember Top 10.
Yeah, of course.
Smacks.
Ooh, Smacks was good.
Smacks was a
really good character.
He was and I'm doing it off the Wikipedia because I remember how insane it was. He is a superpowered demi-ogre from a land of myth.
Yeah.
Where basically every fantasy existed, who became a cop in a city of science. And nobody knew.
It was composed of mostly superheroes.
And nobody knew what his origin was until he brought the chick with him.
You know what I liked? He was also incestuous with his sister.
Right.
And he eventually ends up marrying his sister, who's also a big demi-ogre, but hotter. And he also had that little handprint on his chest, too, which was his first job being a hero. She gets burned down by... He's just trying to save some princess, and she put her hand on him, like, please help me. And she gets burned alive by a dragon. And then the handprint stayed on his chest forever.
Which is what made him want to become... A cop, a trans-dimensional police officer.
Top 10 has some of the most insane characters.
They do. One of my favorite was Armageddon.
Armageddon was fantastic. She ends up dying, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Terrible. And the 2 schmoes, the one guy who had the electric power.
Yeah.
And his cowboy.
Shock Top and
the
Dusty.
Dusty, yeah. Dust Devil, yeah.
Yeah.
So good. That I think is one of the most I think the comic fans, we all love it.
Yeah,
those who read it, but I think it's one of the most underrated Alan Moore works out there.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
It's so tight, and you know what? At the heart of it, great mysteries. Like great police procedural mysteries.
Really true.
And that dog guy, that guy with the dog head,
that guy's awesome.
That would be screwing around with the women, and they like felt weird about, but because. It was great because you saw the character, and he was basically a guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt with a dog head, and then you realize that it's a dog inside like a robot body wearing Hawaiian shirts.
He had
like robot arms and legs.
He had human arms and legs.
He
and
just
Hawaiian
looked like
shirt.
a pod. It was crazy. The design work on that stuff was insane.
Gene Ha, man.
Yeah, like Gene Ha, like if you let this guy loose, he knows how to design the crap out of a universe.
Yeah.
I mean, you can spend hours just either talking about it and also just going over their pages and looking at all the little nods and stuff.
Here's another good origin for you that's also completely insane, which is like one of the most original origins I've ever read. Christian Walker from Powers.
That's a pretty insane one too.
Because he's the first man. He was like one of the first 2 cavemen, basically.
Yeah, that the game had sentient thought.
Yeah, and he's basically immortal.
Yep,
he's immortal and
he's
has
immortal.
like super strength.
Yep,
and what was his power set? He was basically like Superman.
Yeah, he had like superhuman strength. He could fly. He had like superhuman speed to some degree. But he was just like the well-rounded thing. Yeah. But he eventually loses all those powers and becomes Quasar for the most part.
Yeah, like which is another kind of like interesting origin thing is he gets his powers from like a space monkey.
Yeah.
But I remember I think it was like Powers issue number 31 or 32 where they actually show his origin where like he has to break down and say like this is my story.
Yeah.
And he kind of tells bits and pieces of it. And like the cool thing that Bendis did with the character is that they show him being like this guy throughout time who was like Conan. He was like Conan.
He was the Conan. He was the goon.
Yeah,
yeah.
And like he was like the 30s superhero, but then he turns around and says like, I don't even remember half of them.
Yeah.
Because I may be immortal, but I remember a life. I remember a lifetime, and that's it.
I remember when they first started that arc when we were working the store, and they had the caveman episode, which all it was like caveman screwing with each other.
Yeah.
All the people complaining about this is what we wait for. Caveman's banging.
This is it.
This is it.
Why is this it? Another crazy origin story. That's unbelievable. Listen, mainstream comics, man. Like at the core essence of it, like people see like something on a T-shirt or just like, oh, the Flash. Like, what is a guy who can run fast? Mm-hmm. But why? People don't remember the why.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the Cosmic Marvel stuff also is pretty insane, and
all of it's insane.
We're also getting
Major Vance Astro.
Major Vance Astro, go for it.
Oh, my favorite. Major Vance Astro is from a different dimension from ours, where the entire human race was dying of a strange virus. So they send him out in a hyperbolic suit that would maintain him. He's sent to space to look for the cure. Doesn't even know where he's going yet. Is there for thousands of years. Returns home with no cure. Comes back. Everyone's already cured. So he's like this aging dude. So he says, screw this, I'm going to go back to space, and meets a group of space aliens and eventually becomes Space Captain America.
Right.
And he also has psychic powers. He's a telekinetic on top of all this. Because in our world, he's our Marvel boy. He's not even around anymore.
No.
And he was like a weird new warrior character. But in Guardians of the Galaxy, he had Captain America's shield. He was
like the man.
He had a symbiote for a while. He was a lot going for him, man. And I just love that whole. I'm a big fan of like the Solitude of Space storylines.
Yeah,
and his boiled down is such a great idea for being retouched. The whole idea of him being sent off and returning. It's like an awesome Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You get a lot of that with the Cosmic Marvel stuff. Like one of my all time favorites, Silver Surfer's origin, where like he basically sees a planet eating god. And says like, no, like what could I do to save my planet and my woman? And the planet eating guy turns around and says,
I need a secretary.
Like basically like I need an assistant. I need a guy who can scout planets for me and make sure I can eat them. And he's like, all right, is that it? Oh yeah, you can never return here
ever.
And like you saved your planet, but you can never come back, and that's it. Say goodbye to Shalabal. And he's like, all right, no problem. And he becomes Silver Surfer, and this dude just goes around hunting planets for this god to eat.
And he eventually sacrifices himself for Earth and gets confined to Earth. He falls in love with roaming the spaceways, but then he to stay and hang out with the FF.
He needs his humanity.
Yeah.
Really crazy stuff.
There was a great Silver Surfer issue way back in the day when my boy Ron Lim was doing it. And where he wants to become a human, but Galactus won't grant him his humanity.
Yeah.
But he gives him back his guilt.
Right.
And he gets like the guilt of like all the millions of people he's killed while he's
you get the crying surfer cover.
Yeah, and it's like and the blood comes out of the silver. That's awesome. Ron Lim drew the shit out of Silver Surfer.
He did. I didn't really appreciate his stuff like on anything else, but like I loved him on Surfer.
He was great on Cap too.
I never liked him on Cap. He made those chins.
I loved it. Yeah, but he was drawing John Walker. John Walker had that distinct chin.
Yeah.
But like his Silver Surfer and the way he drew Thanos and like Warlock and especially Galactus, he had such an awesome deal. He drew like what's his name, Terrax and that awful
Firelord,
Morg.
Okay, Morg was terrible,
but he drew them awesome.
Yeah.
They all look fantastic.
He did. I remember that. And like speaking of Cosmic Marvel origins, which I didn't read the solicits for the Thanos Rising. I just saw
that's right. Yeah,
I saw the creative team and was like, absolutely excellent. Jason Aaron, Simone Bianchi doing Thanos origin story, which came out of left field for me. Because I thought it was going to be more of an Avengers movie tie-in than anything, which it might turn out to be at the very end. But you're getting, like, this was my book of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really dug it. You get the inside of, like, you know, it starts with page 1 and it's like a Titan returns to his planet, and then it turns into like him being born deformed and being
so gross
and being purple and him almost getting killed by his mother when he was born.
That sucks.
And then they flip it on the audience by like, oh, he was clearly picked on when he was a kid, but he wasn't.
Yeah, but there's something weird going on that also with the how they just automatically kind of switch and really like him when he's like a teenager. And so there might be something a little bit more to it. And also the fact this other chick is running around like his death.
Right.
Like his weirdo Eve, his Adam.
Yeah, yeah. Who he's in love with, like obsessed with that and love death.
It was awesome. It was completely awesome. I love the way young Thanos looks. I love the suit and everything like that. He looks crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people crapped in this book.
Why?
Because people who read Infinity Gauntlet want more Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay.
They want pure, just dude singing in a throne, and you know, like, which is cool, which is fine by me. Like, I still, you know, in my heart of hearts, still believe Thanos Quest is like some of the most awesome cosmic crap you can get. It's him going from each champion of the universe and each elder of the universe and fighting them and besting them. It's awesome. But this stuff, getting to the nitty gritty of it, is a little bit more Infinity Watch era.
Yeah.
Where you get to the more morality of him and like the more complicated version of him,
which I want,
which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, you know, we're getting a big old villain.
Oh yeah, you're getting the
we're
getting that guy,
because that's going to be the next big thing in Marvel is purely this Infinity Gauntlet stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, I always loved Thanos as a character, but like, you know, like he wasn't adult Thanos was like more fleshed out the more you got to know him. Yeah, with like motivations and everything and all that stuff. And he always had like whoever
loved gardening.
Right, and whoever wrote him gave him like these big like monologues and everything. I also really like in Infinity War where you see him in like his like day off gear. Where he's like,
oh, I loved it, the brown crap,
like the kimono, and like little hat.
No, I love seeing him out of his regular gear. It was awesome. The Infinity Watch stuff when he was like gardening and he had like that brown and white gear.
I love all like the day off Thanos stuff. But this was like such a refreshing, like, you know, the kids liked him. He was like a smart kid. He was like really sweet, and he was like, oh, you know, it's just it's a molecular deficiency. It's a bit of a birth defect, but I don't mind.
I'm gonna murder you all.
And then I like the one part where they were like, oh, aren't you the son of so and so? And he's like, oh, you must be talking about my really good looking brother, Star Fox. I was trying.
Who's not in the book at all.
Not at all. I was trying to explain to Vicky who Star Fox. I was like, this is Thanos. She's like, oh, I know who Thanos is. I was like, his brother is like this beautiful like space god, basically.
Eros.
Yeah, he's Eros, and he's got like a red Wolverine hair.
The best thing about Star Fox was in the last few years was Dan Slott's She-Hulk run when he's being accused of basically raping the universe because everywhere he goes he can't help but have them fall in love with him. Yeah. It was awesome.
It's so great. All right, we got to wrap it up in a minute, right? All right. So my book of the week was Thanos Rising. We're gonna get to see a crazy origin within that. Your book of the week?
I don't know if I had one this week. It was a very strange week. It's a lot, not too many books. What else came out this week?
Green Lantern was excellent.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I'm missing my favorite piece of Green Lantern in there, and that's the art.
Okay.
What's his face? Doug Monk.
Gleason. And Monk.
He's not in the book. He's been on for the last few issues.
It was a great issue.
It was good, but I don't know. I would maybe Thanos Rising and maybe Ultron was pretty damn good too.
All right.
Superior Spider-Man was awesome also.
Superior Spider-Man was very excellent.
He's getting kicked off the team.
Sucks. I know.
I'll make it.
Thor's gonna knock his head off. All right. So this has been another beautiful. I'm stalling. This has been another great episode of Behind the Counter. Thank you, sorry tech guys, for taking up too much of your time. I know you're freaking out about your Windows 95. Later.